Beat LeBron James and the Cavaliers? Check. Beat Kevin Durant and the Oklahoma City Thunder? Check. Beat Michael Jordan's Bulls record of 72-10? Check. Beat the Brooklyn Nets and their Big Three? Let me just do y'all a favor and check this in advance. This is going to be a big task. But ladies and gentlemen, listen closely today as I go into exactly how the 2022 Golden State Warriors can beat the Brooklyn Nets. First off, I'm not going to lie or sugarcoat things. This Brooklyn Nets team is a monster. They're making a two-time MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, look like a role player.
The other night, here's Durant putting moves, crossover on Giannis, and hit. Middleton is 0 for 5 here at the start.
This is the man that Shaquille O'Neal passed his Superman cape to. But it looks to me like either the Nets have kryptonite or Shaq gave his cape to the wrong man. The Nets are dominating the Bucks, even without their second MVP, James Harden, in the lineup. In addition, they have Joe Harris, who led the league in three-point shooting at an astonishing 47.5%, and they have Blake Griffin, who tricked Detroit into thinking that he can't dunk anymore. I mean, in the 20 games he played in Detroit this season, he didn't even record a single dunk, but now he's dunking over Giannis? Now, let's get into some numbers here. This ain't an exact science or anything, but it's an estimate to get the feeling of firepower. Because to beat this Nets team, you have to fight fire with fire. In a playoff series, teams usually go about 8 deep, so I'm going to take a look at the Nets' top 8 scorers. For the 2021 regular season, Kyrie and KD both averaged 26.9 points per game. James Harden followed closely at 24.6 points. Joe Harris came in at 14.1, followed by Jeff Green at 11. So that's 5 players so far. If we continue on, Blake Griffin came in at the trade deadline and started averaging 10. Landry Shamet came in at 9.3, and Bruce Bowen chipped in at 8.8, which gives them a total of 131.6 points per game. I went on to ESPN's Hollinger's offensive efficiency statistics and found there that the Brooklyn Nets have the highest offensive efficiency over the last 2 decades, and perhaps even in NBA history. This Brooklyn Nets team has a higher offensive efficiency than any Warriors team, even when they had Durant. So how in the world are the 2022 Warriors going to beat this team? Well, let me have a glass of beer first. That is some good stuff. All right, here I go. To start off my soliloquy, Klay Thompson is going to be back. You might be saying that he won't fill that gap difference between the two teams, but that's what 2 years off can do to a person's memory. Just remember, guys, when healthy, Klay Thompson is one of the best two-way players in the game. In his last active season, he made an NBA All-Defensive team, and then in the playoffs, he shot 44% from three-point land. Over his career, he scored 37 points in a quarter and 60 points in a game where he only dribbled the ball 11 times. This is the man who single-handedly shot the Warriors back into Game 6 against Kevin Durant and the Thunder back in 2016, then sent KD packing just 2 days later.
A long three for Thompson fires for 3, yes!
Klay plays with a chip on his shoulder. He's too fast of a catch-and-shoot player, and with the amount of screens he'll get to separate from his defenders, the Nets won't even be able to slow him down. Count on Klay to average 22 points per game, which is what he averaged during the 5 seasons where the Warriors reached the finals. And with the return of Klay, emerges the true threat of Steph and Curry. All throughout this season, Curry's been double-teamed and triple-teamed, and the crazy thing is he still averaged 32 points per game and won the scoring title.
Find Curry again? It basically is saying, wait, oh, he backed up on him and hit another 3!
Well, when Klay comes back, defenses can't overreact to Steph. And if it's just single defensive coverages for the 2-time MVP, you can expect him to average about 30 points per game. Man, I can't wait to see Steph exploit defenses next year and drop bombs on the Nets. Anyway, this next person said on Bleacher Report's Ask Me Anything session that the Warriors are going to win the finals next year, no doubt. I'm talking about Dre Magic. Draymond Green understands that 2022 is a year that the Warriors can actually win everything. He even went on air to say that his offense needs work. And to be honest, I'm not going to expect him to do anything he hasn't done before. Making his open threes like he did in 2016, And fixing up his floaters is all I expect. Because when the Nets give him all the room to shoot, he needs to be able to make him pay. And when they close out on him, Draymond actually has a decent first step to get by the initial defender. So he needs to capitalize on these situations.
But the ball was knocked away. Shot clock at 3. Draymond floater is good.
His best season average was 14 points per game. But I'll be a bit conservative and say Draymond will average 12 points next season. James Wiseman should be taking the next step in his second season, especially after getting some training with Kevin Garnett in the offseason. If you look at the trajectory of other stellar bigs like Anthony Davis, Garnett, and DeAndre Ayton, they all started averaging about 17 to 20 points in their second season. If Wiseman can just get, say, 17 points per game on efficient around-the-basket plays while collecting 10 boards, that'll work. And if he has that aggressive mentality, that'll cause a ton of problems for the Nets, who don't usually play with a rim protector.
Brooklyn Nets went 2-0.
And speaking of a rim protector, without a big guarding the basket, Andrew Wiggins is going to love attacking the rim. Toward the end of the 2021 regular season, Wiggins was either shooting open threes or slashing to the basket, which is about all the shots he should be taking. He doesn't have a reliable mid-range shot yet, which is evident from his shooting splits. But as long as he's smart about his shot selections and sticks to his bread and butter, there's no reason to think he can't average 20 points per game against the Nets, who aren't known to be a good defensive team.
Oubre able to recapture. Wiggins, yes.
So far we have Steph at 30, Klay at 22, Draymond at 12, Wiseman at 17, and Wiggins at 20. That adds up to 101 points from the starters, leaving us to find at least another 30.6 points from the bench. Let's start off with the potential 6th Man of the Year candidate for 2022, Jordan Poole. In his last 10 games this season, which includes the 2 play-in games, he was averaging 17.2 points per game, while shooting 50% from the field and 39% from three-point range. Let's say he averages 16 points per game next season. That'll be enough of a punch to let the last 2 players just play average games in order for the Warriors to match the firepower of Brooklyn. Kevon Looney and JTA currently fill the last 2 Warriors roster spots. The one thing I love about these 2 players is their high basketball IQ. They aren't superstars or even stars, but they always put themselves in the right position to either get rebounds or backdoor cuts.
Everything but the basket. Looney still fighting. Another rebound and then denied again. And I guess this
get shots every time you foul.
Looney, Wiggins, Lee, Poole, Toscano. Oh, Anderson.
If these last 2 players could just average about 7 and 8 points per game each, just about 1 bucket per quarter, which isn't asking too much, then, well, let me have a quick drink of my beer and do a little math. Okay. That should add up to 132 points for the Warriors, which beats out the Nets at 131.6. That's the offensive side of things. Now, when it comes to defense, the Warriors are going to have the Nets beat. I mean, as good as the Nets were offensively, they were tied for 20th in the league for defense versus 5th for the Warriors, and that's where the Warriors got to capitalize. If we go man-to-man, no one in the Nets' top 8 scorers have made an All-NBA defensive team. The Warriors, on the other hand, are going to have the 2016 Defensive Player of the Year, who regularly makes NBA All-Defensive teams, and who's capable of stopping 3-on-1s.
It's a 3-on-1.
The Warriors are going to have Andrew Wiggins, who's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and with a healthy Klay Thompson back, they're going to have another NBA All-Defensive talent. The Warriors were 5th overall in defensive efficiency in 2021, and I expect in 2022 for them to make the top 3. They won't stop the Nets with their defense, but even if they could slow them down a bit here and there and make them take tough shots, that could be the difference between winning and losing. When Draymond said, "I think we'll win the finals again next year, no doubt," I wonder if he watched my videos. That might be the beer talking. Just kidding, guys. But in all seriousness, the 2022 Warriors can win it all. And if you actually look closely, they could be winning it all for a long time. If you haven't noticed yet, check out this video here, where I go over just exactly how the Warriors are building a secret dynasty that can last at least another 6 years. Man, it's a juicy video with my inside take on the Warriors' future. Click it, guys, watch the video, and I'll see you on the other side.